saturated fat, and trans fat. And then the good or the high density, it cleans your body.
Sodium is basically just the salt intake that within it. It has a couple of different features in it, but it's mainly just the salt that's within the food.
This fewer type of carbohydrates can be digested. It's very good, helps clean out the body, and fights colon cancer.
That's fiber.
Sugar, the nickname is soluble carbs, and simple is pretty much bad sugar, and then complex is good sugar and it gives you energy.
Protein is basically mainly what you find in meats, eggs, and some other type of things. It basically helps you build muscle and tissue. It's also a different source for energy other than carbohydrates, and it's kind of really an essential nutrient that you need, kind of like carbs, fiber, and calories.
Alright, so about 90% of Americans eat more sodium than recommended. Reducing sodium intake by 1,200 milligrams per day could save nearly $1.2 billion in medical costs.
10% of the population skip breakfast every day. 28% of Americans age 6 and older are physically inactive.
Over 78 million U.S. adults in the United States alone are considered obese, and 12.5 million children and adolescents in the world are considered obese. And that's kind of like the point of representation of that. Like, not a lot of people are educated and know how to eat right and make healthy decisions for themselves.
Alright, only 30% of children are physically active every day, and then only 6 states require PE daily, and then Minnesota is not one of them.
And then like the thing with physical activity, although it's not exactly 100% about nutrition, they do tie together and like really well with each other, because usually if you're not eating well, you're also not physically active. That is always the case, but generally coincides with it a lot.
Alright, so the standard American diet, or the SAD, goes on like a weekly scale, and this mostly consists of processed foods, animal products, vegetables, nuts, and fruits, and whole grains.
Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics help you choose healthier meals and make better eating habits.
The American Society for Nutrition, basically, this organization gives you articles and proven research techniques to help educate people and like give you different like recipes and different like healthier food options for you to eat.
And then the International Food Information Council, it's really similar to like the United States Food and Drug Administration. It's a really informative website that you can kind of go through, and then they basically have like the nutritional facts and like the true nutritional facts on every single product that they have listed in their website, which is like hundreds of thousands of things. And then they also have recipes and information on how to incorporate things into your diet to make you live a better lifestyle.
Alright, so soda, juice, and flavored coffee along with alcohol adds empty calories to your diets, and the empty calories are like a lot of sugar. You should be drinking a lot of water, like 8-ounce portions per day, or like 100% veggie or fruit juice.
Kind of to coincide with that, to think about this is the representation of a large Coke at McDonald's. It's about a half a cup of sugar, of just pure sugar, if you guys want to pass that around. So that's just one large Coke at McDonald's, coincides with all of that, which also brings on carbs and really bad spikes in blood sugar.
Limit your sodium intake. Excess sodium intake is a big cause of high blood pressure and kidney disease. It retains water in the body.
the serious threats was, people, especially in like the healthcare field, really aren't talking about obesity as a serious thing yet, when it really should be, because it's actually becoming one of the more costly medical effects in the United States. Because behind smoking, coronary heart disease is actually the leading cause of death in the United States. So it's kind of ironic that it's really not talked about, which is actually kind of another general point of this presentation, is that people need to be educated on what's going on and what obesity is, and how they can kind of change that and change to a better lifestyle.
Alright, so what is sugar and what is high in sugar is what you should know. You guys should be paying attention to what you're eating and consuming, either by beverage or by eating it.
So just kind of to think about it, every single table is gonna get one of these, but each packet kind of represents what's inside the, what's inside a Milky Way candy bar. Each, yeah, you guys can eat it, doesn't really matter. I don't have one for every single one of you guys. You guys might need to fight over it, but. In a single Milky Way candy bar, I think there's 33 grams, or 31 grams of sugar, which comes out to a little over a half, or a fourth of a cup of sugar in just one daily intake.
That's crazy.
As students got older, they seemed to work out more and made better decisions regarding their health and fitness. 106 people in the survey.
Our data shows that as we get older, we tend to eat breakfast less because, basically, we think it's because of lack, well, like ninth graders, you don't really work, or you have to get up earlier to get the bus, so you can eat breakfast. But yeah.
Okay, and then for our class activity, it's a little different than other people have been doing. Each table, or each person, is gonna get a handout that we made. And this is basically something that you guys can go through, and it kind of incorporates one of our next topic, talking about like what you can do, and there's also a page on there for that. Sir, you didn't get one. Okay. So basically, in the brochure, it's kind of a 3-step guide, and that's also talking again about like the physical activity and nutrition. They tie really well into each other, because if you're not making smart physical activity choices and eating right, it's kind of like you might as well not do either if you're not going to do both of them. And then also that it kind of goes back in with our take action.
Alright, so there's plenty of mobile apps out there that can help you track your nutritional values in each meal. This is just one, Foodicate. Like I said, it just helps you track your nutritional info on your daily meals.
Should be answers so like big bad. Show with a list and done. Dictate from the list and plan your meal.
Okay, and that's kind of talking about meal planning, and that's also another thing that Foodicate does. Meal planning is a great way to kind of stay on topic, especially with what you're doing, mainly because like if you're less likely to deviate from like a plan if you have a plan. It's like that's kind of like the main thing about fast food is usually you're unprepared to eat, or you're coming from somewhere and you're not like ready to eat, so you kind of just stop and get something because either you're lazy or you're not ready to cook or something like that. And that's the biggest thing about it, is just kind of playing out what you're gonna do and like bringing everything together so it all flows solidly. One of our first interview that we had was with Dr. James Dufour. He's the lead pediatric informative at Egan Valley Pediatrics. It's right down the road in Napa Valley, right off Cedar and 140th. He went to the University of Minnesota. He received his doctorate in pediatric care from the University of Minnesota. And he also has a master's degree basically. Kind of the main thing that really came out of it was like that people don't really know 100% what they're talking about, and that kind of falls into something else that we're going to talk about later about like general knowledge about nutrition. And then the also thing was like the intake of things that they don't know what they're drinking, especially with like soda, juice, things like that. Again, it kind of goes along with the sugar aspect of it, that people just need to be more educated and more conscious of like what they're consuming in their body and what they're doing with their life. And then again with Miss Ostrom, she's a wellness teacher. She teaches wellnesses 1 and 2. She went to Winona State University where she got her degree in physical activity and another field that I'm not 100% sure. And she was kind of really pinpointing the same idea that people really just need to learn what they're what's going on in their life, that people don't really know the key vocabulary. And then another thing that she really talked about was don't go without doing the 2 steps, step 1 and 2, especially with the physical activity part, that even if you eat right, you're generally not going to get a ton of nutritional benefit from it, that you really need to pair the exercise with it to kind of get the full benefit of the embracement of it. And then also the increase of like type 1 and type 2 diabetes in America has been on a skyrocket for I think the past like 15 years, especially with the increase of like sugary drinks, cereal, things like that. And that people are just kind of misinformed of what it is and like what the kind of consequences are coming through it.
And she also talked about like you should stop eating when you're full and don't like overstuff yourself, because I think it was Americans could lose on average of 10 to 15 pounds per year if you just stop when you're full.
And then another thing that's kind of really pinpointed to that is that like in America, serving sizes that we get like at like restaurants are almost double that of the rest of the world. I don't know how many people have traveled outside of the United States, but like if you go, literally our plates are actually so much bigger. They're actually about an inch larger in diameter than everything else, which actually accumulates for a larger surface area. So you're getting way more food. And then in America, usually like the way that they bait you into eating more is drinking like sugary drinks, like a soda. The soda contains high fructose corn syrup, which basically makes your body feel like you're not hungry. Therefore, you're eating more and more likely to eat more and order more food from them.
This is Julie Cornbetter. She's a food service director for Burnsville. She graduated from the University of Wisconsin Stout, and basically what she said is pretty much all the same thing. She's a dietitian, so one of the things that we asked her is either 3 big meals a day or 5 small meals a day, and she actually said 5 small meals a day because like you can have time to digest it, and